All right, we should be live. So hopefully this is all working. This was what it was building up to, a dedicated room for doing this kind of stuff, as well as, a room I could use for other things that is a lot more organized. So, all right, let's make sure this is all working. I'll just double check. Looks like we are live. So we're probably going to go live for about an hour or so. And yeah, if you got any questions, feel free to let me know. It's a very different room in here, I know, but it was time for a change. Nothing's happening to the old room, by the way. It's still right over there. But I wanted to sort of get rid of the junk that was in this room and turn it into something functional. That was the goal. So, all right, welcome everybody. Let me pop out the chat here. All right, we're good to go. So this is great. Now I can see all the comments and everything. We've got John, Adolph, man. We got hey from, let me bring up the comments a little bigger for my own benefit. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. I'm also a lefty. Good stuff, mate. We've got Ol as well. Welcome. Anjay, welcome, mate. Hey, God, the Instagram live streams. Yeah, I was on there before. The problem is, I don't know if anyone else has this problem with Instagram live streams. I watch them, and about a minute or two later, it always locks up. And it's been like that for a long time. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yeah, it does it to me all the time. I got an old phone, so maybe that's the problem. It's an old iPhone 6. We got Sean from Chicago. Welcome, mate. What do I think of the Fender Highway 1 guitars? They were great. I actually owned the Strat. One of my stupidest decisions was getting rid of it, Like, it was a really good guitar. The only cool and problematic thing about it is how fast it'll relic. It'll relic unusually quick. You're just getting it in and out of a soft case, and it will scuff the bottom of the paint, around the bottom of the guitar. So, yeah, you'll find that it'll be very easy to mark, and that'll either be something that you'll love or not. But tone-wise, they're phenomenal. Feel-wise, they're great. Very much like a USA-made Strat, at least they were back when I had mine, except for that really thin, I don't know if it's a nitro finish or not, but it's super thin. It almost flakes off. You can kind of scrape at it. It will just come straight off. Yeah, no clon page for me, yeah. No, I was only being silly. Man, They're going to put good players in that list, mate. Fishy, you're hilarious, mate. Joe Rogan looks a little healthier. He's got a little bit more hair. Not a lot, just a little bit. And he's probably downsized about 50 kilos. I'm not saying he's fat, by the way. He's a tank. What was my first album that I ever got? The Ghostbusters soundtrack. Or the Blues Brothers soundtrack. I have a feeling it was the Ghostbusters one. The first proper album of somebody I got was George Harrison. It was Cloud 9. Cassette tape. It's awesome. I still have the Ghostbusters cassette tape somewhere. I couldn't get rid of it. I don't know why, but I've still got it somewhere. Let me move this over. I just realized I've got a camera right in the way of the comments. Anyway, I'll use that here. Paul says, given your Life of Les Paul special, I would like to hear yours and try to get your opinion on the Epiphone Les Paul special. I haven't tried an Epiphone one yet. I haven't found a lefty. If I have a chance to, give one a shot, I'm absolutely going to borrow one from Sky Music at any particular point in time and give them a shot. They look cool. I've seen a right-handed one. They look really good. To the untrained eye, they're pretty much the same, right? But yeah, usually the same old thing, Gibson versus Epiphone. You're paying... The pickups in the Gibson will sound fatter normally. They'll sound thicker, generally speaking. And that's not for everybody either. But what I've learned over the years about the humbucker pickups, especially, that there's a clear difference in the output. They sound generally a little bigger and fuller and sort of a wider frequency on the Gibsons. Generally, not all the time, but most of the time. What do I think of the Artist bass amps? I haven't tried one, mate, so I don't like commenting on stuff I haven't tried, unfortunately. So, or fortunately for you, but unfortunately I haven't tried one. Yeah, I don't like giving opinions on stuff I haven't actually played, but artist stuff, that tweed tone. We went back to the first jam night last weekend, first one in 8 months, and everybody had an artist tweed tone. All the guys that had other amps had artist tweed tones. They multiplied. So these are friends of mine too. So if they weren't good, I would hear about it. Who's my footy team? You know, I don't really follow the football a whole lot, but if I had to follow someone, it'd probably be Collingwood, just based on my family's history with it. Raphael says, hey, Shane, well done on the giveaway. Thanks. I'm still yet to hear back from the people who won. I'm going to accommodate for different time zones and all that kind of thing, and when people actually finally see it. If I don't hear back after a week, they'll go up for the next giveaway. So, yeah, I want to make sure stuff actually gets sent out. I asked a few other people that do giveaways, and they've had no luck contacting the people that win. It's sort of like people assume they're not going to win a lot of the time, so they don't check the results. It's just the way that it is. Human nature. Everyone wants to get into it, and then you just don't check. So, yeah, we'll see how we go. Greg from Coolangatta, welcome, mate. If I had to choose for recording, Marshall, Origin 5C, or Boss Katana, get the Boss. I think the Origin amps are arguably the worst Marshalls I've ever played. Even the small ones, one of the worst small amps I've ever used in my life. So I do not buy that amplifier. Tom says, no question, just wanted to thank you for inspiring me to pick up guitar again. Hey, thanks, man. That's cool. That's really cool. Dev says, new setup. Yeah, this room's going to double or triple as... it's going to double as something, but I'm just going to use it for live streams from time to time. So coming up, this is a bit of a test run. I finally finished this room. This has been weeks and weeks in the making. It looks very empty, and that's how I want this room to be. So it's set up in a way where I can have someone else here as well, and I can position the camera in a situation where we can have a couple of people in here, and it's going to look good. I can share the screen, all that kind of stuff. So next year on the In the Blues channel, that's what that will be. I'm also going to be using this for my tech channel and for something else we're starting. So yeah, it's going to be great. This room was just full of stuff that was in boxes. So I donated like bags full of old clothes and stuff that I didn't need anymore. I took it down to the shop here and just, the places that kind of do the collections for stuff like that. Just got rid of it. So it was great freeing up this room. It's now like, I walk in, I'm like, oh man, it's so tidy. It's never been like that once since I lived here. The lights turned up today, and that was the last thing that I was waiting on. Yeah, this setup's pretty cool. I'll show you it at some point, but if you follow my Instagram, you'll probably see the other shot at some point pop up, what I'm looking at back here. So, yeah. I've been making guitar videos so long, I wanted to just start doing other stuff, because I got a lot of interests. Did you try the PRS SE hollow body? They don't make a lefty from memory. I just got mine back. I got it back yesterday. So there's been a small modification to it. I'm yet to actually plug it in and see how it sounds yet. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. Can we get a review of the Marshall Silver Jubilee mini amps? Yeah, I can get them. Yeah, I haven't... I'm pretty sure Sky Music have those, so I'll see what I can do. Matt says, hello from Melbourne. I got all my guitars from Sky Music. They're really great. What do I think of the Japanese hybrid guitars? Japanese hybrid guitars from who? Sorry, I'm not too sure who you mean. I like Japanese instruments. I'm a big fan normally, so yeah. I don't know exactly what... I know they've got a couple of Gretsch guitars made in Japan there. Just trying to think of what else. They've probably got some Fender stuff as well. Have I ever played a Jamstick guitar? No. I don't know what that is. Anjay says, jealous of you playing live the other day. How did that feel? It felt weird. It was not only weird being in a room full of people, but it was weird playing and singing, because I didn't do any singing like for 8 months, and it was, yeah, I just didn't put any time into it at all. I played a lot, so my playing was fine. But what I was worried about was the coordination between playing and singing. That's the first thing that goes, other than your vocal, because I'm not a natural singer, so I have to work at it quite a lot. And yeah, I thought it was going to be way worse than it was, but I had a great couple of sets, and there's a video going up about it tonight, actually. So yeah, I think you'll get a kick out of, well, hopefully get a kick out of some of the tones from the live shows. I'm going to start doing that more now that we can finally go out and play live again, and we've got some semblance of normality going on. I'm definitely going to be doing more of that because, yeah, I realized, the lockdown. I should say it like this: like making YouTube videos about guitars isn't playing live. It's two different things. So, yeah, as much as I love making videos, I still prefer to use the stuff where I'm supposed to be using it. Like taking it out and having a play. And that'll never go away, even, down the track. If there's no In the Blues, I'm not saying there will be, but if there's no In the Blues YouTube channel, I'm still going to be playing live, so that's what I'm getting at. That's just the fun part about it. But it was really weird to go play live, I got to tell you. But the flow was on from the moment I started playing. I got to test out a couple of guitars I've not played out of the house. It was super cool. Dr. Nerd says, I just picked up an old red stripe PV transformer. Did I ever try one of those? I don't think I have tried one of those. Let's have a look here. Yeah, there's so many weird PV amps. They've got strange names, and yeah, let's see if I can get some pictures of this thing. Oh yeah, it looks like a 2x12 PV Bandit. Let's see if this works. Where have I got this hooked up to? This will either work or it's not going to work. Let me see. All right, boom. So there we go. There it is, the PV Transformer 2x12 guitar combo. It looks pretty much... Oh, wow. Okay, so it's like a digital modeling amp by the looks of the left over here. Yeah, I don't know this one at all. It's the first time I've heard of this one, which I'm sort of... Oh, here's a better photo. I thought I knew most of PV stuff, but I don't know this one. Yeah, look, this to me doesn't... it doesn't really... This doesn't appeal to me much. All of this stuff, all these little lights and all the different settings. Just get a Bandit. You'll probably be far happier with it, in my opinion. Just because it's easy to operate. All right. I wanted to ask if I can record a 2x12 amp with one SM57. Absolutely. Just mic up one speaker. There's no real benefit of miking up both of the speakers on a 2x12 anyway, unless they're different. So you might encounter phase issues and stuff if you're using more than one microphone. So yeah, you can absolutely just mic up one speaker. You'll be fine. Paul says, I'm a solo artist doing covers, looking for an in-depth review of the Variax range. I'm interested, but in the country with no access to try one. Yeah, I thought that all that stuff was discontinued years ago. I don't know if are they still around? I'm not too sure. Yeah, look, I've met people that use that kind of stuff, but I've never used it either. What other speakers did you try in the Artist Tweed Tone? I've tried a greenback, but swapped it back for the 7080. So I tried the Texas Heat. I tried the, what was it? The what do they call it? I was looking at Celestion, the V-type speaker that was in the Marshall. So those two, I tried the Tonka, and I've also got an Eminence Wizard here. And I went back to the 7080. The Eminence Wizard isn't mine, but yeah, I just like the stock speaker better. It works in that amp. I don't know what else to say. It just does a good job. The Jam Stick is apparently like a MIDI guitar, but can also act as a guitar. Yeah, that doesn't interest me too much, that sort of stuff. Look, if you're into it, go for it, but just buy a normal guitar. Plug it into a normal amp. You'll be laughing. Hey, Shane, what other speakers did... Oh, sorry, that's the same question. Singing while playing is hard sometimes, depending on the song. If the singing is off the main beat, it gets confusing. Yeah, totally. It is a tough thing to do. Like, I know people that have been playing guitar for years and then they try singing and then they, like, it's like two independent things that takes a long time to get cohesive at. Like, you've got to be able to pick the guitar up and not even think about the hands. They just have to be on autopilot to be able to sing and play. It's different if you're doing, like, straight up strumming stuff, but even then, you've got to be really aware of the rhythm side of it. So, yeah, it's that whole, pat your head. Or what is it? Yeah, like, whatever. It's using independence. What is it? Pat your head and rub your belly, right? Yeah, like this. A lot of people can't do that. So, don't sing. Or just sing without a guitar if it's easier. That's another way of doing it. Boss Katana Mark II or Fender Champion 100 XL? Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good question. I kind of like them both for different reasons. If it was me, I'd probably just take the Fender and use pedals into it. But the same can be said for the Katana too. Like, it's got a great clean tone. Try them both and see which one you like the best, because they finally upgraded the speaker. Well, not that the old speakers were bad in the Fender amps, but the new speakers they've got in those Fender XLs are actually pretty good. So, it did feel like though that the Katanas have a bit more oomph to the sound. So yeah, I don't know. Try them both, man. If you're more into the Fender tone, get that. If you like the higher gain tones, get the Katana. That's usually my, the way I would sort of assess that. Let me scroll down. Can you do a video of the new Epiphone ES335 inspired by Gibson? Yeah, look, I want to get a couple of those done. There's just no lefties anywhere at the moment. So, yeah. As soon as I can, I will. Or if I can wrangle a righty in, I'll do that as well. What are my thoughts on DIY pedals? It's a great learning curve that will do your head in if you don't have an electronics background. I did that for a while. I built like maybe 4 effects from kits, and all it takes is one thing to be backwards and it doesn't work. So you got to be very patient. And my only advice would be to work so you're not like this over it, because it's the worst thing for your neck working like that. Set it up so something's in front of you, like a computer would be, rather than looking down on the table, because it's like the worst thing you've ever experienced if you've not worked in that position before. But yeah, good fun. Like, I made a couple of clean boost pedals and a couple of overdrives, which sounded great. I actually did a video of them years ago. Can I review a Cort CR200? Yeah, none of the shops have those in my area, unfortunately. I'll see what I can do. Let me have a quick look here. Cort CR200. I just want to see which model this is. It looks good. Let me show you this. So that's the Cort CR200. I wonder what this is inspired from. Yeah, what would you say that would be a Maybach, right? Or a no, I'd say, what's the headstock look like? Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Cort are great, man. They make really great affordable instruments. Really, really good. But yeah, none of the shops that I know of locally have them. I just don't see them in the stores anymore. I don't know why. Sorry, the chat just scrolled. Let me go back. How much will it cost me to get a Boss GT100 to Nigeria? I have no idea, mate. That's why Google exists. I have no idea. I don't own one of them. The shipping on something like that's probably $60. I would guess. But I would try and find one in your country somewhere because yeah, be a lot easier. Power adapter would work too. Let me scroll down. How do I dial in an overdrive pedal for the sweet spot? So for me, it's a mix of volume, gain, and top end. And that will also depend on the guitar I'm playing. So I don't often, like, even if I'm changing guitars, there's no drastic movements on the effects pedals normally. On the good ones, they should just sound good, right? I don't believe in pedals with 10 controls that you got to spend 35 minutes trying to get to sound good. All of mine are very simple, like 3 controls, turn them up to 1 o'clock, start there and see how it goes. But I always look for being able to turn down and it sounds good and it sounds cleaner. And then when I turn up, that's my lead tone. That, in an ideal world, is what I try to accomplish. But I also try to set my amp tone at a volume that works in the room. You can use pedals to shape your volume, like up or down too. There's no reason you can't do that. But if you get like a good valve amp up to a point, it's going to sound great. And then the pedal is sort of like the icing on the cake. If you can't, then you're setting your amp at a lower volume. You might want a bit more gain, or you might sort of want to dial in the volume a little bit differently on the pedal. But the tone I have is in my head. Like, it just is. Like, I know what I'm looking for with any of the guitars. So that's the start. You really got to know what you're looking for to begin with. Otherwise, yeah, it's tough to know what you like. But stand a couple of feet back from the amplifier. Dial it in that way as well. See how that goes. Roy Glenn says, let's talk about that 50s American original Stradiors. How is it in comparison to the 60s version? Well, I don't own the 60s version, so I've only got the 50s. The reason why I bought the 50s one, to my eye, and I think it looks nicer, but that wasn't the main reason. The neck's nicer from what I like on the 50s one. The tones were great. It just felt better in my hand. So that's why I love it. I finally got to play it live last week on Sunday, just earlier in the week. And it was great. It sounded huge live. Very surprising, actually, how at ease I was playing it, because I haven't played live for a long time, and also haven't played a Strat live for a long time, and I loved it. It was great. The 60s one's great. The 60s one's got a bit more, I think, of a bit more attitude in the pickups. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And the neck's slightly thinner. It's a nicer neck, though. It's got a different shape. So pick them both up if you can, and find the one that's right for you. What's my opinion on the Silver Jubilee combo? I think I've been in a room where Dr. Rick's played one, but I didn't actually give it a shot. It sounded good, but he's got that classic rock kind of background. I mean, he plays blues too, but yeah, if that's your sound, you'll love it. I don't remember it being very loud, so that could be something that is a deal breaker, but I can't really recall off the top of my head, man. I would have to go back and try them again. We had someone else request if I could review them, and I can get my hands on those easy. So, has anyone used a fret light guitar neck? No, I don't know what that is. Favorite old school retro game? Bobby Beretta, mate. How are you? Bobby and I run into each other on the Cinemassacre live streams from time to time. I see him pop up. It's funny how many common interests people have with music and outside of music. Yeah, hope you're doing well, mate. I would say my favorite retro one would be Streets of Rage. That's a hard game to beat, man, in terms of beat 'em ups for me. I love it. Let me scroll down. Whoa. All right. Let me... What do I think about the guitar brand Vintage? I think they make good quality, affordable instruments. I haven't played a lot of them. I've got some friends that have some of their older instruments that were like Strat and Yeah, Strat copies, I think, and maybe like a Les Paul one as well or something like that. I think one of them was like a clear, blatant rip. This is back in the day. It was like a blatant rip-off of Clapton's Blackie. So, yeah, it even had rollicking and stuff on it. And it was like $400 or something Australian. So it was pretty good. Do I still have the Bugera V5? I don't, man. I really shouldn't have got rid of it. But, in the process of moving I went from a really, I just had to downsize a while back. And I shouldn't have got rid of it. There's a couple of things I kind of regret getting rid of, and that's one of them. They're great amps, man. They're really cool. The ultimate practice amplifier. Hey, Fat, welcome, mate. Let me scroll down. Best tone for playing at home, Yamaha THR2 or Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Yeah. So let me tell you a little secret about sound cards, right? It generally comes down to branding. So Focusrite are the kings of coming up first in the search results. It costs them a fortune. I don't know that company personally, but I know a lot of audio companies, and they all say the same thing. It's all branding, so don't get too suckered into sound cards. But if you want simplicity, get a Joyo Jam Buddy. Best thing you'll ever have. You'll plug in and you can play. Or something like a NUX BT Lite. Those things kick ass. They're so good. You don't need to hook up a computer just to play guitar. It's actually more of a distraction because you'll encounter more problems. If you gave me those two choices only, I wouldn't go for the computer way. I would just go for the amp, the little practice amp. You'll get far better results just plugging in and playing, and you can put music on something else and just jam as well. So, yeah, that would be my 2 cents. I find like those Yamahas sound great, but they're expensive. They're a little overpriced in my opinion. So check out the NUX. It's just NUX BT Lite, LITE, and the Joyo Jam Buddy. Joyo Jam Buddy is pretty much my practice amp. It looks like a pedal. It's got 2 speakers built into it. You get 3 tones and a delay, so clean, crunch, and color Santana and delay. And it can also take it will play music through a phone or any Bluetooth device. It's really cool. So it's like a Bluetooth speaker that's also a pedal. You can leave it on the desk, leave it on the floor and play. It's great, and it's got a battery that is rechargeable internally as well. And it's probably like half the price or less of any of those other options. Not to put you off the sound card and laptop way, but I don't enjoy that at all. Some people get really great results. Like Steve from Boston's got that mastered, right? But you've really got to watch. You got to make sure you have a computer that has like a good CPU, like current, has low latency. Otherwise, you get lag and it can crackle and do all kinds of stuff. So, how do I practice guitar? Usually, well, there's a couple of ways. If I'm actually playing live, I practice what I know. Like I'll practice songs. Not all the time, but I'll just... If I got, say, a gig coming up, I haven't played for a while, I'll go through all the songs that I'm going to be playing live. Like, that's just the best way of doing it. But generally speaking, I'll jam to backing tracks. I find that helps my timing and execution, and it's way more fun than playing to a click track. That's the worst thing in the world. It's good for, like, maybe running scales, which I don't also sort of recommend people do. It's good to know where the notes are, but running scales isn't really very musical, so... You want to try and play to music, know where the notes are, and then get out of the habit of just scrolling up and down on the, flying up and down on the fretboard. So yeah, I love putting on backing tracks where I don't know where they're going. It's just great fun. Best to buy amps in country. You mean country music? Is that what you're saying? Probably a Fender Towmaster Twin. That'd be my choice. Get a compressor, good to go. What's my thoughts on the Court Sunset TC? Look, I don't know that one, to be honest. Court make good stuff generally, so yeah. I've got a couple of really good friends of mine who have their kind of PRS Custom 24 style electric guitars, and they're really, really cool. Is there a possible way to use multiple guitars into a Boss Katana Air? don't know. I don't think so. Hang on. I'm getting confused. Let me have a look. So many Boss Katana. What's the Air one? Is it the one with the remote pack? Or is that the headphones one? Ah, okay. So I haven't actually used one of these, but it... So it's got a line input, right? It's got an actual computer jack input. Computer jack. It's got a, what do you call it? Like wireless Bluetooth connection, right, for your guitar, but it's also got a regular line input. I don't know if you can use both at the same time or not. I mean, look, see if it says anything in the instructions. Yeah, I haven't used one of those, mate. Sorry. Krenner says, "Hey Shane, hope you're doing well. You too, mate." He says, "Do I think the Bugera V22 would be an upgrade from my Boss Katana 50?" I sort of got mixed feelings about that, man. Like, in a way, yes, it has the possibility to be great. The one thing about the Bugera amps you should be aware of, nearly every one of them I've played and owned and friends have owned and I've tested and all that kind of stuff over the years, they all have pretty bad tube rattle, right? So you've got to kind of replace them. But after you do that, they sound great. And same with my old V5 Infinium. That also had that problem, but it was a cool little amp. Yeah, I would probably say it'd be... It's hard to say it would be really that much better. If you were going to say, you know, I'm getting a PV Classic 30, I'd be like, oh, whatever, right? I'd be like, yes. The V22s are good, but the Katanas aren't bad amps, right? Like, they're just... What you'll probably notice with the Bugera is it'll just have a more pleasing clean tone, and it'll be far less directional. Like, it won't just sort of stab you in the ear directly if you're in front of it, like the Blizzard of Nails. It'll kind of have a bigger spread. Yeah, so it probably will be an upgrade, but it won't be like you'll be taking 3 steps ahead. You know what I mean? So, if I was playing live and I had to pick one of those, I would buy the Bugera for me, and then I would probably have it. Not that the valves make it sound better, but what I'm saying is the valves will stop that Bugera rattle. They put cheap junk Chinese valves in there. And hopefully they've had that addressed. Like, the last one I bought was probably 5 years ago. So I'm only going from what I know from back then. I like their amps. I think they're kind of underrated. They probably get not enough... I don't know. People just don't talk about those amps anymore. Maybe. I don't know what it is, but... So I know that probably doesn't answer your question, man. It all sort of comes down to what works for you. You know, if you don't want to do all the USB stuff, then it's an absolute upgrade. We've got... Hang on. Sorry, guys. Let me move this over. Ever thought about trying a HX Stomp? I'm sort of pedaled out at the moment. I really am. I'm only doing videos of pedals that really interest me, and I'm doing like 1 or 2 a month, and that's enough. I would like to try one, but I don't know if I really want to do like a deep dive video on it. I don't know if I've got the patience for that. It's weird. Like, I'm starting to appreciate simplicity. You know, plug it in. Does it sound good? No. Next. I've been through a lot of like a lot of gear where I've had to spend a lot of time getting the sound I was trying to get, and it was a pain. I really just love the simplicity of being able to plug in and go. And there was nothing better than plugging into my Fender Blues Deluxe the other night. And that video is coming up tonight, by the way, in a couple of hours. And we're having a guitar that sounds great and a pedal that sounds great. And it was just inspiring. No menu diving, nothing. Look, there's obviously a core audience for different products based on your own situation. I'm not belittling that kind of stuff because it's really functional. If I had to pick something for recording, I'd probably take the HX Stomp, right? But yeah, for what I like now, I'm sort of going through keep it as brain dead simple as I can and focus more on the playing rather than the tinkering. I even find, like, the I don't know what it is, man. I'm finding like it hard to watch a lot of gear channels that focus on stuff like that because it doesn't make you better musically. It's just more stuff to learn that's inhibiting your ability to play guitar. And I find like anytime I need an app to connect to an amplifier, I just can't be bothered anymore. I'm not interested unless it's like play and then it's playing music through it and I can jam. That I can tolerate now, but yeah, I've kind of gone off all that stuff, man. I really have, and yeah, I'm just over it. I'm over it. And you know what else bugs me about all of that kind of stuff? I'm going to go on a rant. The fact that every year when NAMM comes out, everything you bought the prior year is junk. This is like one of the weirdest things about the music industry. All the guitars don't change every year, yet there's this huge hype behind it. Like, oh, you know what? They've come out with the new Fender Pro 2, with the new paint job. Yeah. It's like, it's still a guitar, right? And it's almost like the feeling is all the prior stuff to that was garbage, which it isn't. So, yeah, and I find, like, that's just another example, but I kind of feel like all of that digital stuff, as soon as the new one comes out, yours is unsellable, basically. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's a great home studio recording tool. All of those things do a great job at that. But yeah, I kind of find like don't get too caught up in the menu diving and trying to find stuff. Like, yeah, it's just great to be able to plug in and play. Is the Spark amp worth the hype? Oh, my last answer right there. No, I declined doing a review of that. I wasn't interested. According to Spotify, Take Me On That Ride was the 4th most listened to song this year. Wow, thanks, man. Far out. That was a rocker. Made great by Dr. Rick. He played that jigga 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 bit on there, that real like great guitar riff. Bill Burr just uploaded his podcast, but I'll watch it later. Bill's guitar knowledge isn't as good as Shane's. Well, I'm sure he knows probably a lot about a lot of other stuff, man. I got a lot of useless knowledge in my head. Fun, useless knowledge. How's the audio, by the way? I can't hear it, but I'm tipping it's good. I don't mean that to sound like I recorded in here earlier, so I'm hoping it still sounds okay. Let me scroll down. Hey, Sonia, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hot Rod says, have I tried the Orange Crush 60 or C60 combo amp? I don't know. I don't think I've played it. I did some videos on the Sky Music YouTube channel when they launched that, just to sort of get it going. And I played a few on there. I played a 30, I think, actually at home. I did borrow it for a review, or I put it up against like a PV Studio Pro 112, I'm going to say. Sounded pretty cool. But no, I don't think I've played the 60. Orange amps are a bit more, like if you like to rock, that's the sound. They're a big, thick distortion tone. A great clean tone though, too. Good reverb circuits, but you're buying an Orange amp not for its clean tone. You're buying it basically for its ability to have great kind of like modern, well, semi-modern distortion tones. The Gibson robot tuners. Yeah, man. Yeah, they've made some mistakes there, huh? Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Have I tried the Tone City King of Blues pedal? I have. Yeah, if you type in King of Blues in the blues, it'll come up. I borrowed it off my friend Brian, and it was so long ago, I don't even remember how it sounds. I have no recollection. I know I've got the video, but it's uploaded, but I have no recollection of what the video was like or how the pedal sounded. I have no recollection of it whatsoever. All I know is the video's online, so you can find it. Just type the channel name at the end of the search. It'll come straight up. Did I ever try Dr. Rick's Milkman amp? I have. It's fantastic. It's a really good amp. It's like the best parts of a Princeton and a deluxe reverb. It's got that kind of sound. So it's probably a bit more like mid-focused than a deluxe reverb. It's got more like deluxe reverbs have this beautiful low end and nice top end. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've heard that amp or played it. But yeah, his amp's always good. John says, I'm trying to play guitar at 56. Good stuff, man. I watched a video of Keith Richards explaining that he does not use any pedals but relies on the amp tone to get his tone. While the pedals. So if you can turn a Fender Bassman or whatever he plays up to 9 without killing everybody in the room or on your entire street or having the cops called and your ears can tolerate having an amp up like that, then go for it. But, you know, Keith Richards is a great musician. He's not who I consider to have, like, his tone isn't really anything that jumps out at me as being epic either. It's just an old school approach. Get an amplifier, a tube amp, or valve, and turn it right up, and it sounds great. Any of them will do that, but you got to be able to do that. When most people who are playing at home can't do that. But if you've got that luxury and you like playing at 138 decibels, give it a go. Pedals are supposed to give you creative freedoms as well as being able to give you a sound at a more reasonable volume. And a better distortion tone than a lot of amps will give you just by cranking them up. And in my opinion, that's what they do. I'd much rather get my sound out of a good pedal than, well, with the exception of the Marshall, which has a great, loud, dirty tone. But yeah, you've got to be in the right place to do that. This is why a lot of people buy smaller valve combos. They don't buy like 100-watt amps anymore. It's just unnecessary. Coming up, I've got a video of a 60-watt Fender Tweed Twin. Thing nearly kills me, man. It was so loud. But it was awesome. But I couldn't play like that at home. It's just no fun. It all comes down to your playing and what you like. Like, just because someone uses pedals doesn't make them right or wrong. I mean, there's a million people. Hendrix used pedals. You know, that he was one of the guys that had them made for him. You know, there's just so many great guitarists in every genre that use it, or they wouldn't have their iconic sound. Look at the Edge from U2. You know, so yeah, compare all of those tones up against Keith Richards. Whose do you like better? As great as Keith is, right? Keith. So Bernie or Orville, either. Whatever you can find, mate. Dara says today's show is brought to you by Pepsi Max. Yeah, I got a sponsorship from Pepsi Max. It's this. They're only doing a $250,000 deal, but I figure, you know what? Just to have a can in a lot. No, I'm joking. They get free promo, man. Stuff's addictive. Yeah, you'll find even all those guys. Someone's just saying Keith's already deaf. Absolutely, like a lot of those old school rockers, the reason they get that sound is because they have to turn it up to be able to hear it. Have I tried the Lucas Miles amps? I haven't. I've seen some videos of them. This is another thing that doesn't interest me is the Australian companies cloning, making hand-wired versions of amps that have been out for 60 years. It's like, come up with something unique. I don't want to... Who's going to buy a clone of another amp when the other amp's like a third of the price? So... For me, that's, I don't know. I'd like to try them, but I would never buy one of them. A Joyo pedal's any good. They make a lot of good stuff. They're affordable alternatives to way more expensive pedals. I've reviewed probably 50 of their pedals over the years. The best one of the best ones is still the Joyo American Sound and their California one. And those amp sim pedals are really great. What's your best recommendation on the absolute cleanest boost pedal? So there's a few that I actually use. Mr. Boost from Greenchild is awesome. It's actually on my board. The video that's going up tonight, I actually have that on my... Is my pedal board in here? It is. Do you want to see it? It's on my pedal board. And that's really good. Another one I use is the Citek Nursey booster. That looks cool. It's the same basically the same thing. There's just something about the top mounted jacks I really like on the Green Child, and its shape too. It never accidentally gets knocked. It's great. Yeah, so the Green Child Mr. Boost is the one that is definitely one of my favorites. Interestingly enough, the one that I've just given away, is that in here? No, it's not. The Hagerman Clean Boost pedal was by far the best one on that board, in my opinion. It was so good. It also had a treble booster in there as well. So I can highly recommend that. Hagerman are making great stuff. I know that video hasn't gone live yet. It's scheduled, but that's really worth looking into. All you want is in a Clean Boost is to keep it simple. You don't want 9 different controls, just more. That's it. Rob says, "Hi Shane, how much do guitars cost down under compared to Europe, US? For example, a Fender Player Series Strat is about 529 euros or pounds, sorry, in Britain. The latest Pro Series Strats are around 15. You know, I haven't checked look. It's just a easy way of doing it. If you go to Sky Music's website, you can check Australian prices there. I don't know how they compare now, but there used to be a time where we were getting ripped off. You can check Casey's Rock Shop is another local store to me, and there's a million others, but that will give you an indication of the difference. The problem we have in Australia, one of them, is when you import something, you have to pay 10% GST or whatever it works out to. And then when something sells, you pay it again. So the government gets it twice. So there's 20% added to a lot of stuff as soon as it hits the shop. There's nothing they can really do about that. So, and this is the other side of that as well. Our dollar isn't always that strong either. Occasionally it goes up, but most of the time it's nowhere near as strong as it should be. So we pay more based on the exchange rates around the world. But I think here in Brazil and probably New Zealand are the ones that I hear of the most that we get screwed when it comes to prices. But the good thing about it here, when the dollar goes up and it's stronger, we pay far less for stuff. And then it works out way better because we get paid more, right? So in Australia, the wages are higher than most other countries. Anyway, it's a whole other tangent. But it really depends on what it is and what the margins are. So anytime you see a price on a website or on an item in the shop, when it comes to music instruments, it's one of the few. Excuse me. It's one of the few sort of, I don't know if niche is the right word, or industries maybe, where you can really bargain. You know, the only ones I can sort of think of off the top of my head would be, like, other than like markets, secondhand markets and all that kind of stuff, is if you're buying a car or if you're buying guitars, you can kind of haggle a bit. You probably do it in other industries too, but I'm not too sure. I bought a Jag High Vibe, an acoustic with effects that doesn't need an amp. Oh, okay, cool. I've never seen one of those, mate. That sounds pretty cool. That's from Orville. 5-watt champ. Yeah, they're a fun little amp. They're really cool. Oh, sorry, the chat just scrolled up. Sorry, let me just go. Oh, man. All right. What's my opinion on active pickups? Like anything else, if you like it, it's great. You know, I used to always think that active pickups couldn't be as good as normal pickups. And then I started listening to Michael Burke's. I'm like, this tone is great. What kind of Les Paul is this? No, it's a Strat with EMGs. I was like, what? So, yeah, look, you can get great sounds out of anything. It just depends on kind of what you're into. There's no real right or wrong with any of this stuff. It comes down to your ear and what you like and how you get it set up and all that kind of stuff. So I'm far less dismissive of that kind of stuff. When you hear someone's playing that you love and then you realize they're playing active EMGs, you go, what? Even the Super Champ has to be turned up to get it, loud to sing. Absolutely. I just sold my 100 watt amp because everyone and their dog was complaining about the noise. Man, yeah, 100 watts. 100 watts is unnecessary, even live. Like, it's just not required. Steven says, hey, mate, love the content. What's the state of the lefty market in Australia? Probably is tough to find. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There's shops that I go to that always have lefties now, whereas a lot of them wouldn't have had any. Where I borrow all of those ones you've seen this month and last month from Sky Music, they just let me borrow whatever they get in at left-handed. They're like, here's the keys, go grab go grab whatever you like. I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah, they're getting more and more easy to find. You know, I think in a way it's kind of worked out well being left-handed because there's not that sort of like overwhelming amount of electric guitars unless I'm at a shop like Southpaw Guitars or Jerry's Lefty Guitars or anything like that. I'm pretty much settled. I don't really want to replace my tallies. I don't need another Strat. That custom shop one was good, but it wasn't $4,000 better. So yeah, I kind of feel like what I've got is I kind of feel like this will do. There's not as many distractions with stuff. Oh, you know, the next year's this comes out. No, they didn't do that in left-handed. So I'm kind of, yeah, it's easy. So it's not too bad. You can find stuff on the used market pretty easily, and you can find most shops will have a few now. Some stores always have more than others, though. Being a lefty player automatically makes you a Hendrix / Kurt Cobain. Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think most people think of those guys or Albert King, you know. Floopty Doo says, good morning, Mesa Mark 50. Oh, sorry, Mesa Mark 35 pair well with the Randall MD 45. Look, I haven't really done a whole lot of stereo rig stuff, mate. Yeah, so I don't want to really say, oh, that'll work great. Is there any chance you could try it? Because running stereo rigs can be a bit of a pain. You got to accommodate for ground loop issues and all kinds of stuff. And if you're a singer, you can get shocked a lot easier too. So I tried that a couple of times and I kept getting shocked on the mic. I was like, no, I'm not doing this ever again. Have I ever tried a Fender Acoustasonic? No. I'd like to try one. I haven't tried one. I don't think they make lefties. At least none that I've seen. Man, I should have just moved this stuff out of the way of the big screen there. Anyway. I love the Joyo American sound. Great. As a versatile overdrive with a clean boost too. It never leaves my board. They're really good. Yeah, I've heard of guys using them in the effects loop of their amplifiers as well. I did a full album recording directly out of those to my sound card. That's how great it was. I used my pedal board, used the Joyo American sound as the amp. I had a reverb pedal after that, and it should have, well, it did. It was great. It was the first time I went, I can do great recordings now at low volumes. And that whole technology is based on Tech 21. So they're the kings of that kind of stuff. If you can afford to, go get a Tech 21 Blonde or any of that sort of Sans amp stuff. They really set the standard for it. A lot of like high-end pro albums. I'm not going to say Smashing Pumpkins, but I remember reading articles where there were bands using these things exclusively in the studio. Or at least that's what they said. I've been trying to get the SRV tone, but I need a TS9, but don't want to spend more money on pedals because I want to get a GAFC foot switch for the Katana. But then again, SRV used a TS9. I tell you what, SRV had far less gain than anyone thinks he does. Learn the style, and then the tone will just... You got to nail... If you want to sound like any of these guys, you've got to go head first into the style. Otherwise, the effect it's not going to help you, right? You got to have the feel down. You've got to have the chops down. If you've already got the chops down, then it's going to help you get a similar sound. But you got to remember though, his studio tones especially were pretty heavily... They're like 8 microphones in a room, right? Like it wasn't just as simple as it was. He had a Dumble, he had a Marshall, he had all kinds of different amps. So yeah, getting that kind of sound is pretty tough. So for me, I know guys that have gone headfirst into that. And as soon as I hear it, I'm like, oh, this is a Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, right? So you'll have that stigma about you. But if you really love it, you got to learn the style. You have to learn the style and learn from the albums. Like there's guys that are good at teaching the basics of it, but they don't quite have the feel. You've really got to go head first into that feel and play with less gain than you probably think. What time we got here? All right, 11:30, 11:14. All right, I'll go for a bit longer. What's my thoughts on Sode? Is it? I don't know. Soad? And the new songs. I don't know who that is. Sorry. Whatever GST you paid when you purchase something in AU, you claim back. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you do. But it still hits the end buyer to some extent. Or at least that's how they've set it up. I don't really. You're right about that, but yeah, there is still a fee on that though for the buyer. Have I ever played a high watt amp? I've played a few. I think they're pretty good. I've never been completely blown away. It's a bit like Laney for me. I think they're good, but I never go, man, I can't live without that. It's kind of how I feel about high watt amps, but I know I haven't played probably their best amps, nor have I played enough of them. What do I recommend for a reverb pedal? Yeah, those are definitely really good. Some of those anyway. Again, you really only need something that does a couple of types of reverb. Check out the Keeley reverb pedal. It's called like the Triverb or something like that. It's got 3 positions. It's got a spring emulator, a room, and a church or something on it. And I think it's just got two controls or maybe a third. And that's great. The one that I like the most that's now like worth a fortune. I had no idea it was a collector's item when I sold it. It was the Boss FRV1. It's a Fender Boss reverb pedal. Those things are so expensive. They're like $800 now. I have no idea why. They're not worth $800. But if you can find one of them cheap, they're pretty cool. I like reverb that sounds either like a spring or a nice room. I don't really need something that has infinite amounts of modability. Do I feel discriminated by the guitar producers being a lefty? Oh, not so much anymore. I think there was definitely a time where I was frustrated. I couldn't find anything except for the same 3 guitars in every place I went. That was frustrating. Or one guitar in most shops, the Squier lefty that no one's played in 9 years. It's been sitting there since the shop opened. But yeah, now it's not quite like. And the great thing about now, like guys like Jerry from Lefty Guitars in Florida, his shop is great. He'll order like 10 specifically for his shop. No one else has them. So you can get these like really hard to get things that you couldn't get a while back. So yeah, right now it's definitely an easier time to be left-handed. Yeah, I feel like I've pretty much, like, in terms of guitars, there's not really anything else on my radar at the moment. I'm pretty comfortable with what I've got. Oh. Yeah, don't spam the chat. Thanks, Sonia. I've done a couple of videos on Marshalls where I've had them cranked, but I don't know if it was on this channel. I don't think it was. It might have been on the Sky Music one. Yeah, what makes you sound more like SRV, gear or practice? Yeah, it's a feel thing. It really is. Like, you can sound like anybody if you nail the feel. There's guys that nail the Knopfler thing or they get close to it, and irrespective of their tone, you hear the intent behind the note. That's the difference. Greg says he's got an FRV1 on his board. I'll buy it for $100, mate. Send it over. Please show the pedal board. All right, I'll grab it. Cool. It's just here. So coming up in about probably in about 40 minutes after we end this will be, you'll actually get to hear this in the context of a live mix for the first time in a long time. So this is my board. Not much has changed. I did a breakdown about my board a while back. It's, nothing much has changed on it. So we've got the Prisoner delay pedal from Jux. I cycle through a few different delays, but I really like this one. It works really well. The Royal Flush dual overdrive, favorite overdrive of all time. As much as I like other types of effects from time to time, this is the one that it just it never does me wrong. I love it. That's the clean boost I was talking about earlier, the Mr. Boost. Great pedal. The VS Audio Vibler. This is that organ sort of phaser effect thing. I love it. Just adds a bit of niceness. It's a little on the noisy side, but it does it really well. The same old tuner I've had forever. One spot power supply. This is my second one in about 15 years. These things last forever. And I've got a wah pedal in the front pocket of this thing, but I'm going to leave that in there. Now we're sponsored by Pedal Train. There we go. You know what sucks? I can't get another one of these boards. This exact board is the perfect size. They don't sell them anymore. They make smaller ones and much wider ones. I'm like, oh. Anyway. Thumbs up. Thanks, mate. I left you run of the Acoustasonic Telecasters. Okay, I didn't see any in Australia, but I wouldn't mind trying one of those. Extreme Lefty in Florida also orders runs of 5 to 10 guitars. Yeah, I actually spoke to that guy. I've forgotten his name via email now. This was 8 months ago. I was supposed to go there in December of in June of this year. And part of what I had planned up until December, is what I was about to say, was going to be footage of all of these cool stalls as well. So anyway, maybe next year we'll see how we go. But yeah, he seems like a nice guy. We've got Jason from Wisconsin. Awesome stuff, mate. Welcome. How do I describe the difference between Klon, Plexi, and Dumble? Well, easy. Plexi, Marshall amp. Marshall in a box. Dumble, big, round, full Fender-like tone with less tops and a fatter mids and fatter low end, but still relatively clean. Dumbles, you can get a dirty tone out of them as well, but that's how I kind of... They're more of a off-clean kind of tone, a bit too rockish. The Klon is they say transparent overdrive, but it adds upper mids and a high-end spike you don't get from a lot of other pedals. They don't sound great on their own, but they sound great pushing either an amp or like an amp over the edge or into another pedal. They're awesome. When I change that clean boost out, I'll sometimes use a Klon. Excuse me, that Pepsi, man. It's brutal. I'll sometimes use a variation on a Klon. I've got a couple of non-Klons. Hey, VS Audio. We were just speaking about your pedals before. Welcome, mate. We just did the pedal board tour. Same effects I've had forever. Welcome, mate. So, yeah, I can't wait to... Panos from VS Audio was talking about limited edition pedal I'm keen on checking out. So, I can't wait to see that, mate. It's going to be awesome. So, yeah, that's what we got going on right now. I watched your 2 years with no Facebook, and the next day YouTube recommended me a video. 2 weeks without Facebook. 2 weeks no Facebook. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I got off my personal account. It's over 2 years ago now. It was a great decision for me. Productivity went up. Everything changed getting off that. For me personally, it's not the right thing for everybody to ditch that stuff, but man, I've never looked back. All the friends that I thought I would miss, I'm in constant contact with via text messaging. It's so good. Yeah, if you want to see my thought process behind that, it's on a different channel. You can type in 2 years without Facebook. It'll come up. Tim says, when am I going to try an Eastman? Funnily enough, that's kind of strange. I just got an email from one of the distributors He's got one lefty. So I thought, all right, I might as well give it a go. I need to organize that. I don't think I'm going to really be shooting any more studio like videos in that room till the end of the year now, unless it's just talking about something, because I've got queued up well ahead of time with all the gear videos, and I'm kind of like, oh, I needed a break. So it might be early next year. I might save that one till early January or something. Do you know if it's possible to run a head through a Hot Rod Deluxe, Blues Deluxe as a cab? Yeah, you can, absolutely. You got to get a female to female 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch female to female converter. So it needs to have the speaker that's in the cabinet go to the plug, and then out from that plug to your amp head, and that's it. You can absolutely do that. I did that recently on a video where I was comparing speakers. I just changed the heads into different speaker amp combos. It works fine. Just make sure you unplug. You have to have the speaker plugged into whatever amp head you've got it plugged into. Someone asked before, how cold is it here? I can't find the comment, but tonight it's like horrible. It's actually kind of cold. We had it almost felt like winter the other day. We went from like really hot for about 4 days to crap. There's a Boss FRV one on Reverb Australia for $380 plus $10 shipping. I paid $100 for mine, I think, or $120. So it's still 3 times more than what they're worth new. But yeah, look, they're really good. They've got they really nail that kind of sound. They've got a lot of treble, which is my only complaint about them. But if you turn that tone control all the way off, it sounds awesome. It's very much like a deluxe reverb. Shout outs from Nio. How do you say that? No, I don't know how to say that name properly. Niobe. Niobe. No, I've got no idea how to say it. Nairobi. Sorry, Michael, Abi. I'm an idiot. I can't say that properly. It says it's the capital of Kenya. So that's very cool. Awesome. Welcome. Sorry I can't pronounce things properly tonight. We've got Bipul. Welcome, man, from Bangladesh. How you doing? What are my thoughts on the Fishman Fluence modern pickups? Again, I'm not overly interested in having to charge a set of pickups up, even if it is only once every 3 months. It's just another thing that will need replacing at some point in time when the charge is all shot like a phone battery. So maybe you can replace them. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked at the electronics. I think they sound fine, right? Like, I think they sound really good. But are they really that much better, or is it marketing? That's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm not really that interested in putting them in any of my guitars. You know, I actually got an email from Fishman. They said, try these in your Tele or something. I'm like, I don't really want to swap my Tele pickups out. They're great. So, yeah, and then I started thinking about all the other things that go along with new pickups, and I went, you know what? I'm done. Jason says, Shane, you and Ryan Lutton, is it? Sell me most of my pedals. Not joking. Thanks for the many years of no BS reviews. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think a lot of what I try to do is showcase what something does, and then it's really up to the person if they like it or not. It's not if I like something more than someone else. I mean, look, if I'm asked my opinion on what's my favorite, this or that, I'll tell you, but it doesn't mean it's going to be right for everybody, right? So I try to make the videos in a way where I showcase what I think to be the best of what it does, even if it's not even... Like, I only review stuff I'm interested in, at least now anyway. Like, for the last sort of 2 years, I'm really fussy with what I put on the channel. But at the same time, I'm like, while I probably wouldn't use this live, what's the best sounds I can get out of it? That's kind of what I try to do. And I know Andy Martin does that as well. He's like, all right, this is something I would never play, because I've spoken to him about this. He's like, what can I do to make the best out of this and to make it shine? So, Yeah, he's a real master at different styles, and he's a really musical guy, and he's great at what he does. But my approach is sort of similar. Like, I just want to take what I do and what can I get out of this that will at least make it interesting or appeal to whoever's interested in that particular effect. Nairobi, thank you. I read it and I was like, man, how do I say that properly? As soon as I saw it, I go, don't pronounce it. You're going to make a mistake. I already jinxed it ahead of time. I knew that. Thank you. Thank you. That's ridiculous. I'm an idiot. Hey, I never claimed to be smart, so you take it or leave it. Do I own or have I played any vintage guitars? I have. I've played some. I've never owned any. Again, it's a lot of money to have tied up in something when you could use it in other ways. So the only vintage guitars I've played that were great was a 1960s Gretsch Country Gentleman, I'm going to say it was called. It was like a Chet Atkins one. It's fantastic. It even had a pillow on the back with it's like a 335 basically, if you haven't seen them. Actually, let's see if I can find one. Vintage Gretsch. Let's see if I can bring this up. Yeah, I played this at Jerry's. It was so good. And on the back of the guitar, there's it doesn't show you the back, but this is essentially the one. Maybe it was a 50s one. I'm not too sure, but the lefty I think I played was a 60s. It's coming up with a few different ones, but it looked very much like that. So yeah, super cool instrument. I wonder if Jerry's photos will come up, because I actually did a video. I'm not sure what the title of the video was, but yeah, I played one of these. I also got a chance to play a 1960s left-handed Gibson. I think it basically was like a 335, but some people are saying it might have been a 330. I'm not too sure. It had P90 pickups, but it didn't look weird. Like, it didn't look like the neck was attached differently, so I'm not too sure. But Jerry's got a couple of really beautiful vintage guitars I had a chance to play. That was cool. But yeah, I don't own any vintage instruments. I'm not really that interested in owning any either, just for the sake of it or the bragging rights. I think old guitars are beautiful, but here it is. I just saw a photo of the back. Here it is. I'll bring this back up here so you can check it out. Yeah, see this pillow thing back here? On the old ones, this is 62 Chet Atkins, but I don't know if it's a reissue or not. It looks pretty new. But on the original ones, this was brown and it was leather. So yeah, super cool, very different. You don't see that on any guitars. The only problem is I was playing this when I was in Florida, and man, it just gets hot. It just gets really hot. But yeah, super cool. I've played some 70s Strats. I don't even know if I call 70s stuff vintage, to be honest. It's not really it's not that old. 60s I would consider vintage. HM Stack says, hi, really love your videos. Can I ask a question? There's no Red Stripe Bandits where I live, but the new one we have with a 15% discount, will it sound as nice as the Red Stripe with the Texas Heat? No, but it'll still sound okay. I got plenty of friends that own those amps, and they're plenty loud. The difference is there's this they're more focused in their sound. Like, they don't spread out in the same way. They're extremely loud, and you'll be able to get good tones out of them. If you play a lot of heavier styles of music, you'll probably prefer the new one. But if you're like a clean player, like blues, all that kind of stuff, the Red Stripe ones are really hard to beat. The biggest mod is the speaker, though, right? Like, if you put that speaker in any of those amps, it's still going to sound pretty good. The only problem is, I think from memory, when I tried... Did I actually try replacing the speaker in that amp? No, I don't think I replaced the speaker in one of the new ones yet. But you shouldn't have any issues doing that in the new PV Bandit either. So those speakers are great for solid-state amplifiers. You get far more low end and bloom, and it sort of tames what can sometimes be a spiky treble frequency in solid state amps. It really attenuates at the top end. I think they're a really great match. But are they going to sound good? You'll get great tones out of them. If someone said, here, plug into the PV Bandit, I'd be like, all right, cool. I'll still get a good sound out of them. So, yeah, I just think there's something about those red stripe ones. I've been saying that for like 10 years. Not because I owned them. I played one and heard a friend of mine play one. I was like, this sounds great. So, yeah, it just comes from my own experience with them. But have I tried the lag guitars? I have not. Yeah, so with the giveaway, someone just said they finished subscribing and hit the notification bell. So I had 5,500 comments on that video with names and all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't make it. It took me over 45 to 50 minutes to export all those comments. It was brutal. And then I had to sort of trim out images and remove the replies from, like, the way you export comments. It comes up with reply, like when you actually reply to a comment. So I had to take out all of the other keywords in that list. It was brutal. So I couldn't let it go for another 24 hours. It would have been unbearably awkward. So next time what I'm going to do, the first 500 people that comment, I'm going to lock it. The first 1,000 people or something like that, I'm going to lock it. Because it was, the last time I did giveaways, it wasn't that, I didn't get that sort of response. So it wasn't quite the same sort of giveaway in terms of its size, but I didn't expect that. I was kind of shocked. It just went whoosh. So yeah. I would like to purchase an affordable Australian guitar. Any suggestions? Yeah, there's a couple you can get. Look, I like Little Crow guitars, but I don't know if they're inexpensive ones are anywhere near as good as the ones that I use. So, I've only got one of them now. One of them got lost in shipping, unfortunately. But yeah, they do make some inexpensive options. Yeah, I was talking to one of the guys. Oh, what was it? Yeah. So this is a different one, but Ray Carlton custom guitars are fairly affordable. I forgot the dude's name. If you go to my Guitar Search Saturday that I did about the Melbourne Guitar Show, the second one, the most recent one, that'll have the brands I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm sorry, it's getting late. I just can't remember. It's not a brand name that comes up a lot. No, I can't remember. Sorry, man. Damn, what was it called? Yeah, check out that video. You'll see it pop up. They're pretty good. Man, I'm sorry, I can't think of him. Travis says, just want to say thanks for your constant content and being a fellow Aussie. Keep it up. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, doing this, as part of my day gig now, as amongst other things that I do. You've always got to be coming up with stuff and doing things and thinking ahead and pre-planning. So I think when this month is over, I'm going to take a bit of a break from, I'm already on a bit of a break from actually making guitar videos. I did shoot one today, which was the one you're going to see tonight, but it was just me talking about a guitar mixed with some live footage. So that's coming up in a bit. And that's for the Kiesel, which is over here. Man, one of the best live tones I've ever had. It was so good. Have I tried valve tone amps, handmade in Australia? They sound really familiar. Let me have a quick look. I think I may have just heard of them. Oops, I can't spell. Oh, yeah, I've seen these at the Music Swap Shop. Never played them, but I've seen them. They're basically like clones, right, of Fenders and... Oh, let me show you. I'll bring them up here so people can see. Is this going to work? Here we go. So, yeah, here's some... there's one on Gumtree, which is our message like Craigslist if you live overseas. I like the look of that. I think that looks really classy. And I saw a blue one as well, which, this one up here. Is that blue? Yeah. So I haven't played these before, but I'm sure they're going to be fine. I don't know if he builds them from kits or whether they're his own. So I don't know anything about these amps. Is that it there? So they look like the real deal. If that's one of them right there, that's super cool. I can already tell that's the shop that it's in right there, the one I was talking about before. So, yeah, I you know what? I've seen them. They've been in a Guitar Search Saturday, but I've never played one. There's so much stuff out there, it's, I hear a name and I'm like, have I actually reviewed that or just seen it? Best humbucker-sized P90s. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know any regular size humbucker or humbucker size P90s off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a million different boutique brands building those kind of things, but I don't know. You should do a Patreon giveaway. Yeah, look, I went, as soon as I typed in giveaway in a Patreon post saying, I'm going to do a giveaway, a message popped up that says I'm not supposed to do that kind of stuff because it encourages, like, I don't know, something. So I was like, oh, man. Can I recommend a good lefty inexpensive floating tremolo guitar? Like a PRS SE Custom 24, Harley Benton CST 24 as well. What else is there? There's the Gretsch make a number of different ones that have tremolo arms as well that work really well. Dan Electro also do that. They have the Wilkinson Bridge. They're really reliable. What else is there? Fender made in Mexico Strat. But, tremolos on a Strat can be a bit hit and miss. But the other ones are great. The PRS, with the exception of the Kiesel, has the best tremolo system. It just stays in tune. It's really great. If you buy a Harley Benton CST24, they're like a PRS. They have a tremolo arm. You kind of have to loosen the tension on it a bit, and then that works fine too. Sonia says, please go give Shane a big thumbs up. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Sonia. Cheers. Sounds like Robert Baker. I'm taking a break. Only 6 uploads this month. You kidding me? Robert is like... Robert works as hard as I do, man. He's one of the few guys that I see always doing something. Like, I'm good friends with him off YouTube. That guy busts his ass making videos. And it's not only... I don't think people realize, like, it's not only coming up with the... It's not only the physical part of editing the video, it's all the other stuff, right? Like, I got to drive to the shop, grab stuff, bring stuff back. Sure, I could do it in other ways, right? But I've had a video go up every day for a while. And there'll be a video every day in December, which means I've pre-scheduled a lot of stuff. And I had it every other day in November going up as well. So, yeah, I've kept pretty busy. Plus... all the other stuff I'm doing outside of YouTube, and he's got a family, and man, it really wears you out after a while. I don't think people get it. It takes focus. The difference between someone who does well online and someone who doesn't is someone who puts in the hard work. And that's pretty much it. Robert works harder than anybody. He's a great guy. And just so you know, too, the guy you see on the screen is exactly how he is off that as well. It's funny because when people run into me, they're like, "Oh, you're the In the Blues guy." I was like, "Yeah, hey, how you doing?" It's, "Oh, you sound the same." I'm like, "Yeah, finally." I never used to sound like myself on videos because I always used to get complaints. No one could understand me, so I used to speak a lot quieter and a lot. Yeah, now yeah. Anyway, so he's a good dude, man. But yeah, I think that's the thing. People don't realize, like, how consuming it can be when you're on your own doing, well, mostly on my own doing this sort of stuff. So it's If you don't do it, no one else does it. Anyway, let me just double check something real quick. I just want to double check something. What time is my video going live? I set it for some weird time, like, oh, come on, computer. Don't give me any grief. There we go. We are... Sorry, I'll just be 1 sec. I want to make sure I get this. Oh, yeah. All right, so it's in 30 minutes from now is the time the new video is going up. This is a live clip. The first live playing in 8 months, so you can laugh at how bad it is. But the tones are great. I'm blown away by the sounds. All right. Let me bring the chat back. I'll take a few more questions, then I'm going to jump off. I'm getting a bit fatigued and just from talking so much. If you want to play with a floating trem, you just have to accept your tuning will be, the guitar will be out every couple of songs. Yeah, look, it sort of depends on the guitar and the tremolo system as well. Some are way more reliable than others, but you're right. You just got to keep checking your tuning from time to time. I think the Fender Strats, as great as an instrument as they are, they've kind of like emotionally scarred people to expect all tremolo systems to be bad. But try a Duesenberg, like the best tremolo arm system on any guitar I've ever played. Thing works like $1 million. It's awesome. Hey, Zach. Welcome, mate. Yeah, the Duesenbergs are in a league of their own. Like when it comes to that whole tremolo arm, they're just engineered better. The spring's great. It works a little bit differently. Like tremolo arms, you can kind of bend them up and down. And why you can do that on a Duesenberg as well, they spring back. They're not just sort of hanging there. So they're sort of in a fixed position, which I think you could say the same about Strats as well, but they're a little less consistent. The Duesenberg ones are awesome. Is the keys are working well now? Yeah, it is. So when I got it, I had this intermittent issue where I was getting like a feedback out of the bridge pickup at higher gain levels. And then it got worse. I was like, what's going on? So I took the pickup out. I contacted the guys and said, is this normal? Like, because it's got a base plate on the bottom of it. So it's got that Telecaster bridge pickup thing. He goes, no, like we'll film a video of it. So they plugged it into this Mesa rectifier and just let rip. I was like, all right, so it's the pickup. So another one got sent out and I put it in and man, it's so good. That's why I haven't seen it on a whole lot of videos because I was waiting for that to get fixed. Or I had the pickup pulled out of it. But man, it is so good. Anyway, you can see what you think of the live clips coming up. Is there a difference between a 2-point trem and a 6? 4. Sorry, man. I couldn't resist. Look, I don't know enough about that to really comment. The ones that are the most reliable in my collection have been 2-point trems. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe there's just less things that can go wrong. But yeah, all like the PRS and the Dan Electros have had the best tremolo systems, and the Vola's pretty good too. But I would say I'd still put the other two. Oh, the Kiesel is just as good as well. I keep forgetting it. It's like it's there. That's probably the best tremolo out of all of them, followed by the PRS, followed by the Vola and the Dan Electros. But they're all pretty consistent. Yeah. Why do I not recommend cheaper Epiphones? So I love Epiphone guitars. I've owned probably 6 or 7 of them. I don't like their entry-level guitars that much. They're not very good. With the exception of the Studio... what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. But there's a really great Les Paul Studio... Is it called Studio or something? Anyway, it's like a Les Paul Special 2. The Special 2 rocks. That's a great lower priced one if you can find one. But they're $80 acoustics or electrics. They're just not very good. Like a mate of mine bought one. It's got one pickup and it's unplayable. So yeah, it just comes from experience. It's not that I don't like Epiphone guitars. I think they're great. I gigged with a 335 Epiphone Dot for years and it was amazing. So yeah, I just think there's better instruments for less money when you're talking about less money than sort of like a couple of $100. Thanks, Jeff. Take it easy, man. Dennis, thanks for hanging out. All right, we'll get out of here in just a moment. David Tyndall, thank you, mate. He says, just wanted to say thank you, Shane. Very happy. Ibanez AS53 modded, player strat, TM Deluxe, and UX Cerberus. Light and gig friendly, great tone. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you got some great gear there, mate. Thank you. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Very cool, mate. Yeah, that's some nice stuff. Let me bring up this on the screen here. I'll share it. I'll bring up the Google Images here. Yeah, these look great, man. These are awesome guitars. There we go. Boom. Look at that. Yeah, very nice. Super cool. Look at this. That color looks awesome as well. Natural sort of timber. Hey, look at the blue one here. It's pretty cool. What do you think of blue guitars? Something a little bit different. I like these sort of different colors like this when you can still see the grain. I think that's where they look their best. They all look pretty good. Even that looks great. Yeah, I think that or this one might be my two favorite. Oh no, I would say, ooh, yeah, the blue one looks good. Looks really good. Very cool. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you again, David. Appreciate that, mate. Cheers. I'll just take a couple of these last questions here, and then I'll wrap it up. Is it Zaid? Says, or Zed says, what do I think of the Voodoo Lab Sparkle Drive Mod Overdrive? Ever tried it? I haven't. I've owned the original Sparkle Drive. It's fine. The only problem I have with those pedals, and I mentioned this years, maybe 10, 12 years ago, is the fact that it's like a tube screamer, right? And then there's this fourth control, which is clean mix. So it starts to bring your note definition back into the pedal. The thing I never understood was if you want more clean, why don't you just turn the drive down? You do get a slightly different response using that control, but it's like, is it doing anything different? I think they're great pedals. They're built well. They sound great, and that was one of my main overdrives. At the time, I was using that and a Behringer TO-800 for a good couple of years. The Sparkle drives are really underrated, but they're not really that much different to any number of Tube Screamer clones, right? So they just look cool, and they've got that clean circuit. So if that's important to you and you want to use it for more of a clean boost, maybe go for that. Can I recommend a tube amp for stage? Yeah, there's a million depending on your needs, mate. I don't know what style you're playing or anything, how loud you need to be if you're miking up. So yeah, there's a million great amplifiers out there. Fender Deluxe Reverb, there you go. It's a good place to start your search anyway and see what you like from that point. Thoughts on the Eastman T486 as an alternative to a Gibson 335? I actually did a video about all of those guitars, like the best alternatives to a 335. Eastman make great stuff, absolutely. They're very playable, built extremely well. They look beautiful. They got all the good things going for them. But the price is creeping up a little bit on them lately, at least here. So I think they're really cool. So I'm just looking at the comments. Someone said watching a lefty player is a little unnerving. Good. All right, I'm going to go. Thanks for hanging out. Peter says, you've inspired my 10-year-old lefty son to work harder on his blues licks. Awesome. That's so cool. That is unreal. You know, one of these days I want to put together like 30 of my best licks so people can learn, you know, some extra little blues licks that they can get laughed at like I do when I play live. No. I want to start doing. I'd like to put one good, like the video that inspired me to learn was Matt Smith's A Beginner's Guide to Blues Guitar. Just a great instructional video. And now all these years later, 20 plus years later, 21 years or whatever, I kind of feel like I'd love to do one of those. I've got all the stuff that I would need to get that done, minus the coherence to explain stuff properly. But yeah, it'd be super cool. Let's see if there's one more. Mojo. I don't know what that is, man. Sorry. Sonia says, have I ever used a drop tuning pedal? No. Is there one of those, or is that humor? There's no LOL after that one, so I'm not too sure. Have I ever used a drop tuning pedal? I thought all tuners could tune in different tunings, right? Like if you, I don't know. I don't know if I don't ever change tunings, so I'm not too sure. All right, guys, thank you so much. Walter says, love the wall color. Check it out. It moves, which means I could change it if I get bored. This isn't going to be the new YouTube set either for In the Blues. I'm still using the other bedroom for all the guitar stuff. This is just going to be an easy way for me to do this kind of thing. It's just clean and tidy, and if I have a guest over, if you missed the start, I can move the camera back. We're going to have a good set in here, a couple people, and Rick will be coming over probably in the next week or so. We'll hopefully be able to do something in here together, record a new podcast, all that kind of thing, a video podcast or stream live and take a Q&A and all that kind of thing. So I just needed somewhere where I could walk in and sit down because I'm forever moving things around. I'm all about productivity. If anyone knows me outside of the YouTube, it's like, what's the most efficient way I can get this done? Even if it takes me a week to put together, will it save me time? And this was definitely the way to do it. All right, guys, take care. Thank you. Thanks for everyone hanging out and for the super chat as well. I appreciate it. And yeah, if you're around in the next 20 minutes, check out the first live clip of, I guess, in 8 months that you've seen. And if you didn't see this guitar, just before I go, I'm going to show you this. This is the guitar that'll be in the video. I'll be dressed exactly the same in the video you're about to see too. I shot it in here just to make sure everything worked. But yeah, it is an absolute beast. You know, these guys weren't even on my radar. I love being surprised, and you know, Rick heard this in the room. He's like, "Man, that's pretty special." I was like, "Oh, far out, thanks." Because when you play guitar for the first time live, I'll leave with this thought. I'm sometimes more critically listening to what it's giving me rather than playing. This was the first time, as soon as I started playing, I got on the neck pickup, I was like, this is great. Like that whole thought process of listening to the tones, it was not anywhere near as, I was like just focused on the playing, and it was on. As soon as I picked it up, I was like, and this is the first time I'd played it in a long time because I just got the pickup replaced. And yeah, I was like, far out, this is cool. So irrespective of if you like, you know, Kiesel brand or their style or whatever, these Johnny Highland pickups on track are becoming one of the best sounding guitars I've ever played. So see what you think anyway. All right. Joe Rogan better watch his back. Yeah, right. But I tell you what, I got some good plans for next year. I'm not going to announce anything yet, but you probably get a gist of what's going to happen on In the Blues in this room coming up. So we're going to do some different content, make it a bit more interactive, a bit more fun, and a little bit less stuff focused to some extent. Now that we can travel and get around again and do, you know, have people over, all that kind of stuff, you're going to start to see some different things coming up again, finally. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go. Thanks again, and rock on. Take it easy. How do I stop this again? Oh, yeah, here we go. Take care, guys. Speak to you soon.